In 2014, Jennifer Kent blew us all away with her directorial debut with The Babadook. The next year, David Robert Mitchell blew us all away with It Follows. And now this year, Robert Eggers brings us The Witch. And I have two words to say. Hell yeah. The Witch. So The Witch is a period piece horror film that follows this family as they're leaving New England after they've had some disagreements with their church and their religion as they go alone in this huge settlement. It's pretty much in a remote location. They're trying to survive, their crops are dying, and there just might be a force surrounding their woods that is haunting them. Alright guys, so let's get into The Witch. The Witch, if you guys saw my top 5 most anticipated horror movies of this year, this movie was my number 1 of this year. I had a lot of expectations going into this one. It looked like a film that kind of gave me that Salem Witch Trials vibe, but New England style, had that paranoia horror, that anxiety-based horror, the unnerving horror, but with just basically the crucible of his brought to modern times, but made even better. And I'm happy to say, guys, The Witch did exactly that for me. First of all, the acting in The Witch is all just amazing. Can't remember the girl's name, but she played Thomason. I believe her name is Thomason. I can't remember the girl's name, but she was excellent in this film. There was one scene in particular in which I thought she was joking around, and then when you see what she's really doing, honestly, I was getting so unnerved. And I'll get too unnerved a little bit what that meant to me. The guy who plays the father, I thought he was in Kingsman for some reason, but apparently he wasn't, but he was also great. The mother is great. The kid who played Caleb was also excellent. There was one scene involving this kid. I haven't been so terrified during watching a movie since probably the opening scene of It Follows. Yeah, but there's even more to come, trust me. The two little kids were also great. Even the witch, now, even though she's barely in it, I know also have to give credit for the film to making the forest itself a character. The forest had this really ominous tone that just kept on crawling onto your skin and made you almost suffocate, but in the best way possible. Now, in the first 15 minutes, I had this reaction. That was me in the first 15 minutes. A certain point, about 10 minutes after that, a certain point, 20 minutes after that, during the climax and during the ending scene. That's how I was throughout this entire film. Robert Eggers, with his direction and his script, did such an amazing job. What I was hoping for this movie was that it would have that anxiety that I love in psychological horror films. It would have that unnervingness from, again, psychological horror films. But since that this also had this witch trials vibe, I was hoping it would have this paranoia-based feel. And when it didn't have that anxiety or that unnerving feel, it had that paranoia to it. When it didn't have that paranoia, it had that anxiety. When it didn't have that anxiety, it had the unnervingness to it. I'm not even sure that's a word, but I'm going with that. But when it had all three of those combined, oh my god, it made for some truly terrifying scenes. This one scene in particular, oh my god, I haven't cringed. There were literally chills going down my spine and I was shivering the entire time. I'm not even kidding, guys. Now, of course, I know everyone's not gonna agree with me on this, but I truly felt like I was watching a nightmare evolving right in front of me. Also, a huge shout out to Mark Corvin who composed the score. This has to be the most horrifying score I have ever heard in a horror movie in a long time. I actually thought this was more horrifying than It Follows, because where in It Follows you had some moments of zen in the soundtrack, there was not a single point in The Witch's soundtrack in which I felt at peace. I felt unnerved and paranoid the entire time watching this movie. And not to mention, this movie has such beautiful cinematography. Again, with the forest, had such great ominous shots of the forest showing Black Phillip, that goat. Oh my god, that asshole. Showing the hair, which is by far the scariest hair I've ever seen in my life. For me, the ending of this film, guys, was just incredible, and the final shot was absolute perfection. My God, man, I couldn't sleep that night. Well, I could sleep, but just not a lot. The cons are personally for everybody else, not for me, just to let you guys know. Now the thing is, for people who are going to be expecting a cheap slasher flick with jump scares, they are going to hate this movie. Where everybody else just wants cheap jump scares, this is all about anxiety and paranoia. And honestly, with the dialect, there was at least 1 or 2 times where I was like, wait, what? But for the most part, for like 98% of the movie, I got the dialect. But for others who don't really understand English accents, they're not gonna understand. Overall, guys, The Witch is by far the best horror movie I have seen in a long time. Is it better than The Babadook? I honestly think this might be tied with The Babadook, but for right now, The Witch is by far the best horror movie I have seen since The Babadook. It has everything from start to finish that I wanted from this movie. And also, The Witch is one of my favorite films of 2016. So I am giving The Witch a 5 out of 5 stars. I loved every moment of this movie. Robert Eggers, bring us more like this. Alright guys, so comment down and let me know below, what is your favorite horror film of the decade so far? Please like, share, and subscribe to some more content from me. And as always, until the next review, I will see you all next time.